Welcome back to the Hockey Hour. We've had a 1 week break, but we are back. Jace Gabriel here with you. And of course, alongside me, the former Hockeyroo, Jane Claxton. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you. How was your Easter and Anzac Day long weekend?
Took the 3 days in between as well. So the full 10 days or something. Yeah, it was very nice. And it was a tough day back at the office, I can say that. So, no, great to be back. Of course, catch all our previous episodes if you haven't seen them on your favourite streaming software, or you can catch us on YouTube as well. Give us a like, give us some love or a heart or whatever it asks for. Give us some 5 stars, I think, is on Spotify. Yeah, give us all the love. We're loving having your connection with us, and can't wait to bring you more of the Hockey Hour for 2025. This week, we'll chat to Shaun Wheatland. We'll have our recap of 2 rounds worth of Stiles Electrical Premier League. And we've got a new segment, which we'll hold on to for the time being. But let's get straight into the Hockey WA news. The Australian Practice Match Series is currently running at the Perth Hockey Stadium. You can check out the Hockeyroo and Australia A taking on the Indian national women's team, while the Kookaburras taking on Malaysia. So those games are all free entry at the Perth Hockey Stadium. So get down and support. They are also available on livehockey.com.au. So get onto that if you can't make it down to the hockey stadium. But adding to the excitement, the Indian community of Western Australia will be at the forefront on May 3rd and 4th with a vibrant cultural activation on offer, supported by the Australian Indian Business Association and the Gujarati Samaj of Western Australia. Attendees can enjoy a live dance performance, family-friendly activities, an array of delicious food stalls showcasing the rich flavours of Indian cuisine. Put me down, Jane.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I will be there.
I love it. Yes, but in Hockey One news, the Perth Thundersticks have announced that Steph Andrews and Stephen Davies will be the 2025 women's and men's head coaches, respectively. Obviously, Steph Andrews stepping in to the women's role, and Stephen China Davies will return to the helm of the men's team for the 2025 Liberty Hockey One season. So following, obviously, an incredibly undefeated season in 2024, the Perth Thundersticks women's will obviously have a lot of pressure on their shoulders, but I'm sure will not bucker under the leadership of Andrews. She's quite an incredible coach, obviously, at the Waste helm as well, so plenty of experience. And then Davies on the men's side with a strong performance in 2024 season and saw them finish 4th, narrowly missing the grand final appearance, obviously. But yeah, head on over to Hockey WA website to see the announcement and read through that article. So I think it's a pretty exciting season for them. 2 great quality coaches.
Yep, certainly agree. And a couple of more new announcements, and that is a new president and vice president of Hockey WA. Hockey WA is proud to announce the appointment of Melanie Weiss as president and Andrew Natter as vice president following the recent annual general meeting. Melanie succeeds outgoing president Gary McGrath, who has officially stepped down from the role. Having previously served as vice president, Melanie brings a deep understanding of the organisation and a wealth of experience to the role. And then stepping into the vice president role, as we mentioned, Andrew Natter, whose extensive corporate experience and dedication to hockey is an invaluable asset to the organisation. So congratulations to Melanie and Andrew.
And in more news for coaching appointments, we have the under-18 state team coaches announced, with the under-18 gold team for the women, head coach in none other than legend from the Wolves pack, Gemma Buckley. Under-18's black team women, also another legend from UWA, and Shaney Nelson. And then under-18's gold team men, their head coach will be Stu Vandersel. Ansel. There you go. I don't know why I added the D.
He's from Hale.
Yep.
Hale men.
And then under-18 black team men, head coach and Keith Old, who's obviously from the Southwest.
Yes, fantastic appointments. Those are going to be held in Perth too.
Yeah, exciting.
The new, I suppose, potential future Kookaburras and Hockeyroos on show. So PHS and Melville is where they're going to hold those under-18s in July. Mailbag time, Jane. And we've got some crackers today. We've got some absolute crackers. So thank you to all those who have sent us questions. This week from Alexa.Drummond, if you had to play hockey in any type of shoe that aren't runners or hockey shoes, what would you wear, Jane?
Yeah, you wouldn't want an open toe.
No.
Feel. And steel cap's probably too excessive, not very flexible. You can't choose runners. Jeez.
Do you, I had to think about this, and I thought, like, you could go with rollerblades, roller skates.
Actually, yeah.
And they would offer enough protection.
Get axed by a ball, like accidentally rolling over a ball.
That's true.
Skates could be hectic, but yeah.
Like, maybe you'd have to play at Aquinas where they don't wet it.
Yeah.
And then you'd get you'd be perfect, right? Like,
yeah.
The only other shoes I thought of was the rock climbing shoes where, like, you have, like, an individual toe.
Oh, the toe is
that would be
so creepy.
Imagine running around in those. Sure, I'm sure someone does. But
yeah, you'd need extra, like, protection there over the little toe sections. But, yeah.
Maybe you still cap the toes.
Yeah, true. Or you go croc.
Can you go Crocs?
Still cap the end of the croc.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Has some good, like, water resistance.
True.
Maybe.
Yep.
Not too sure about change of direction.
No, it would be good on grass.
Yeah, true.
Maybe we could add that rule when the grass series comes around.
Only croc wearing.
Great question, Alexa. Definitely found some creativity in that one. I love that. And number 2 from Greg. Has hockey gone soft? He's gone hard. Greg, straight up. Has hockey gone soft? I was reminiscing on the old days by watching the 2014 World Cup final. Fantastic World Cup final. It was. I'm assuming he's talking about the one in India with. Is it Germany and Australia? I think it was.
Or is this Den Haag?
2014. Yes. No. Den Haag. Yes. Of course. Yeah.
Holland.
Kookaburras, Holland. Yeah. And in the
women's match, not as great a highlight.
And in the first half alone, I saw upwards of 5 tackles that would have easily been green or yellow cards nowadays, but the umpires just called play on. These challenges were body checks, stick checks, or collisions. It led to a more exciting physical game, and I feel like that is missing from today's game. I understand player protection is important, but has it gone too far?
Interesting, Greg. Interesting. I do find that like any stick clash, any noise related to stick checking or everything, they're really hyper vigilant in that, and I think there could be a lot more play on. But I think also rules have changed, like the overhead rule suddenly, like there's a lot more ambiguity about who's under it, how you can play it on, and so they probably have to be a bit harsher on stick checking, body checking, all of that with the reception of overheads.
I think players have got better at running with the ball and changing direction. And I think maybe you could have a more physical challenge maybe in 2014 because the aerial was there, but it was more a drag jink. It wasn't like a run sort of 3D sort of stuff where everyone is quite, really good at that now. And
and the pace of the game is, of course, going to get quicker. And so collisions at high speed are way worse than static.
100%. They probably look worse, and that's probably why we have more free hits for them now. Definitely green or yellow cards, but back then maybe the goal I distinctly remember from that final is the first one with Hertzberger. He kind of just jinks through a few Australian guys, and they don't think they body check him at all, and he shoots and scores.
Yeah.
But if he gets a body check there, then he probably is a free hit, But that was probably the pathway, or maybe the first essence of this dribbling with air and
and they probably also learn from like really significant injuries happening during key moments in the game because of a collision. And then they have to change their approach to umpiring because you're trying to do the welfare of players. But
it's a fascinating question.
It is. It's a hard one. I'd probably have to go back and watch 2024 World Cup to really understand what it's saying.
Well, I can tell you, Greg, that it hasn't gone soft. It is still physical, but maybe not from a tackling point of view. From a tackling point of view, there's probably a bit more duty of care from the umpires, but maybe for positional wise, I think it's got even more physical in being able, because people are better at getting front position or trying to get front position. So,
well, I know in my team alone, we've had so many injuries in the first 4 weeks, like people getting stitches, people going to ED. Like there's so many injuries still, and not necessarily having cards at the end of those collisions, just because potentially it was, inadvertent. So yeah, it depends what you're watching, I guess.
Yep, great question, Greg. Went hard, and I like it. I like it. Full opinion. So, we probably both agree that the game has changed and has got quicker. So, the collisions probably look worse, and hence why there are green or yellow cards these days. So, fantastic question, Greg. Hockey WA is thrilled to have the continued support of Stiles Electrical Services as the naming rights sponsor of the 2025 Premier League men's and women's competitions. With over 25 years of experience in sports lighting, Stiles Electrical Services is committed to supporting hockey's growth in WA by assisting clubs with floodlighting upgrades and strengthening pathways for athlete development. Their ongoing support will help enhance one of the world's strongest domestic hockey competitions, and we cannot thank them enough for their support. Visit stileselectrical.com.au to find out more about Stiles Electrical and how they can help your club. Okay, Jane, 2 rounds worth of Stiles Electrical Premier League. Let's wrap it up. This will be a little bit longer than we normally do.
With us.
But that's okay, because there was some fantastic hockey played. We're going to go back to the midweek games. Round, I think it was a special round. It wasn't round, a round number, a continual number, a small number. It was around 20 or something.
Yeah, it was. It was a weird one, but
let's go back all the way back a week and a little bit. And it was Westside Wolves and YM that opened it up for the women. And I think we talked about this being an absolute ripper, and it was.
I'm glad. We're just so knowledgeable.
Absolutely. So the goal scorers for Wolves, Maddie Radcliffe with a double and Jess Friedman with a double. One of those in the 59th minute to win the game. For YM, Sophie Wainwright, Shoko Kanafuji and Madison Fitzpatrick all getting on the score sheet. But it's Wolves win. Yep, great. Fantastic. We probably expected them to, but another great showing by YMCC.
Yeah, 2 penalty corner goals and a stroke for YMCC. So obviously, being pretty deadly in that circle, and Wolves getting a bit desperate in defensively. But as per usual, Maddie Ratcliffe getting on the scorecard and helping Wolves on their way.
So Wolves continued their unbeaten run. We go to the next game, your game, Jane. 3-2 victory over Melville. I think we said it was going to be tight. You got it done, opening the scoring. Brittany Wang, our favourite New Zealander, getting on the board early, and then effectively getting the winner in the 59th minute. Abby Davies also on the score sheet, and for Melville, Hannah Carmody and Tori Wade, both scoring in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Jane, 2-2, or 2-1 down at three-quarter time. What's your spray?
Well, to be honest, we had a great first half, and our third quarter was woeful. But to Melville's credit, they really changed their pressing dynamic and put our back group under a lot more pressure, and so resulted in those 2 goals. So, I was sweating a little bit going into that three-quarter time, but, we kind of said to each other, like, we've played a really good game and we've had plenty of opportunities. One of those games where you had so many opportunities in the first half, probably should have slotted a few and put goal scoring pressure on, but we didn't. And then naturally, that going into that final quarter was a bit nerve-wracking, but we got there in the end.
Got it done.
Relief.
Got it done. 3-0 victory for Wasps over North Coast Raiders. All the goals coming in the second half. Singles to Jordan Edwards, Hayley Tidy and Cameron Tidy. We expected them to win this game, and what didn't. It was probably tight in the first half, but it got there in the end, and they got the chocolates.
Yeah, I think they're obviously fighting it out at the bottom end of the table, so Wasps are looking for these crucial wins. And so, probably flagged this as something that they needed to put away.
Cracking game on the Thursday night between Vic Park and UWA. Now, I think we both might have tipped UWA, but it was the upset. Vic Park with a 4-2 victory. Alana Tulip, Annie Gibbs with a double, and Ruby Williams on the scoreboard for Vic Park, and a double to Lexi Pickering, which I think was her first game back after injury, and she looked very, very sharp. So a huge win there for Vic Park. Probably, I guess we probably didn't know what team UWA was going to put out, but there are some a few absences in that team.
Yeah,
but
both sides kind of didn't have their probably full strength side, as you would say, with their high performance players. But yeah, I think Vic Park probably outperformed them UWA. If you look on paper, you probably wouldn't have, as we didn't predict it. But yeah, impressive by Vic Park.
Fantastic victory for the Panthers, and great to see Lexi Pickering back out on the field. We go to the last game, 5-0 victory to Lions over Whitfords. Goals in each of the quarters. Georgina Dowd opening in the first minute. Meg McCaffrey, Maria Gustavino, Chelsea Turner and Katie Wright all on the score sheet. And Whitford's season still continuing to be quite tough.
Yeah, I think a lot of youth over at Whitford's probably not... a lot of probably seasoned ones players relying a bit too heavily, I think, on their Hockeyroos at the moment. And obviously Penny still out injured, so I'm sure once she gets back, she'll be marshalling the troops from the back.
Absolutely. So that was round 20, the midweek fixtures. So we go to round 3, which officially started on Anzac Day. And it was Vic Park and Wasp playing their traditional Anzac Day contest. And it was a victory to Wasp. Steph was back, running amok, and she got the goal to win the game for Wasp in the 48th minute. But this was a tight contest. You commentated this one.
Yeah, it was actually really nice hockey to watch. Both teams played really high-quality team hockey. No kind of really crazy individual performances. Obviously, Steph did her role and she played incredibly well and got her goal off of a really slick penalty corner. So back to the dragger or injector slotted into the net. So yeah, it was a really nice one to commentate, I thought.
Very good. Disappointing, I reckon, for Vic Park because Wasps will be probably to the lower end, and that was a big opportunity for them to go forward.
Went from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah, absolutely. We go to the next game. It's a 3-2, a very tight 3-2 victory for Westside Wolves, coming from behind again with 2 goals in the fourth quarter. It was Izzy Rakic and a double to Maddie Radcliffe, including the winner in the 60-plus minute penalty corner after the siren, and Meg McCaffrey and Georgina Dowd on the scoreboard for Lions. They just keep getting it done, but looking at the stats here, they had 13 penalty corners, Westside Wolves.
Wow. Yeah, Lions are pretty ruthless in that net, I would say. Hard to get past, but yeah, God, you'd hate to be first runner.
The 13 of them, I think there must have been a fair few at the end. I can see a few stars at the end. Yeah. So there was probably a few rewards towards the end. And then
even worse, though.
Yeah, you got to go back it up and back it up and back it up. This is why you don't run.
Yeah,
Jane.
I know. You just go a nice position halfway.
That's it. So Wolves keeping their unbeaten run intact. A 2-0 victory over YMCC for Hale to get back on the winners' circle. A double to Claire Colwell, 2 penalty corner drag flicks, I would assume. This would have been a fascinating game, but probably I think we would have expected a YM to maybe come out on top here. I think with the form that they've had,
obviously Hale had Lene back after her little sabbatical in the UK, but it was actually a really nice game to watch. Mariah Williams was on fire, will I say. I think YM were trying hard to get the ball off of it and hit everything but the ball. But yeah, they were really clinical in their PCs, and having Claire on that battery really helped them out a lot. She slotted them very nicely, but by no means YM had plenty of opportunities themselves and played some high-quality hockey in their midfield.
If you're giving Claire Cole 10 penalty corners to flick, you're expecting her to get 20%, aren't you?
Hopefully.
And then a big victory for UWA over Whitfords, 9-0. A double to Courtney Chanel, a double to Prada Heron, a double to Lexi Pickering, and then singles to Bridget Smith, Stacia Pillay and Bella Ramshaw. And look, we probably don't have to speak any more about that one.
I love the spread of goals, though. That's lovely.
All shared about. And then the last game of the round, Melville a 3-2 victory over North Coast Raiders. They came from behind, 2-1 down, and 2 goals late in the fourth quarter get them the victory. Abby Wilson with a double and Casey Donaldson with a single. Harriet Chin and Harriet Shand, or Hattie Shand, with the singles each for Raiders. I believe Hattie was on debut for Raiders as well.
It was first game.
So goal on debut as well. Melville, they've found something, haven't they?
Yeah, no, they impressed me in Drew when we played them, and I think they've got something great that they're working towards. And obviously, once they have their Hockeyroo back in the team, they become even stronger. And so, there's a few people on 7 now on the ladder. So YM, Big Park, Melville, and then Wasps on 6. So it's quite tight at the moment, and I think it'll be interesting over this next, block of 5.
Yeah, definitely. 3 teams on 10 points, and then Lions in second on 11, and then, of course, Westside Wolves streaming away on 18. Ellie Buckley and Maddie Radcliffe both have 10 goals apiece after, 6 games. That's very, very impressive. Let's go. Let's have a look at the upcoming games, Jane, for this weekend, and we'll get your tips. So this weekend we have Hale and Vic Park.
I think it'll be tight. I don't know if Vic Park will have any of their Hockeyroo. Obviously, I don't think they'll be committed to the India series. I think that will make a huge difference if they don't. But I think Hale potentially coming off of what they performed like against YM, I think it'll be tight. But if they're not having someone like Claire and Mariah in their team who are quite critical, Vic Park probably.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Vic Park if the Hockeyroo are going to be out with the practice match series. This is a big one. North Coast Raiders and Whitfords, both teams looking for their first win of the year.
I would probably still back in North Coast, I think. They've got some still high quality players and experience out there. And again, removing the Hockeyroo element from Whitfords, it'll be tight, but I think North Coast should be okay there.
North Coast for me as well. Melville and Suburban Lions. This will be an interesting one.
Will be. I think Lions, to be honest, they're a tough nut team to crack, and they've got quite a good defensive outletting system, so they're hard to get the ball off of. So probably come out the better of the two.
Lions for me as well. Your game, Reds and Wolves.
Well, ours has actually been postponed.
Oh, postponed.
So
okay.
When we'll be playing, but because of 21s, we've got about 7 girls out.
Right.
I'm obviously not playing 21s, but a very junior team.
Ship sail, Jane.
Has been hit hard by 21s. So
okay.
that will be postponed.
I do remember that. Someone, I think you did mention that to me, the postponed game. And then the last game of the round, Wasps and UWA. This would be, I think UWA should win this. But it depends, again, who they have, because you assume some girls will be playing in the Hockeyroo series, but maybe the likes of Nasa Flynn and Jessie Reid come back in. So
I think it all depends who gets selected with the Hockeyroo games, but I assume, UWA will probably have a stronger side to field.
UWA for me as well. Let's go to the men's side of the competition and revert all the way back to a couple of Tuesdays ago, and it was a 5-2 victory for UWA over Vic Park, a double to Frank Main and singles to the big dog Chris Sorello, Jacob Evans and Harry Golding, whilst Kai Willett with a double for Vic Park. I watched this game, and Vic Park probably not at their best. UWA just have so much talent all over the field.
I thought it was a high quality game to watch though, and I love Kai Willett and how he plays in your side. I think he adds so much power through that midfield, and the amount of rotations you guys do. He was playing defender, halfback, and then striker, and same as Dorso. So it's nice to see the mass rotations. And as a hockey nerd, I like noticing those types of things.
Very good, very good. The UWA boys, far too strong for Vic Park. There we go, probably to the upset of the round, and it was Mods Old Guildford getting off both teams were looking for their first win, but it was Modsell Guildford coming out on top 2-1 over Whitford's. Goals to Judd Deletty and Luke Nilsson, whilst Thomas Briggs got one in the 58th to add some spice to the last couple of minutes. But we'll talk to Shaun Wheatland about this in the show shortly. But this was a fantastic result.
Yeah, I'm sure they've pumped up their tyres from this. Obviously, coming off a pretty big loss to Reds the previous week and, conceding a lot of goals. I'm sure this is a great confidence boost for them.
Absolutely. Be fascinating to see what Shaun says later on, but well done. I saw them sing the song after, so well done to Modsell Guildford.
A new song? What's the vibe of it?
I actually can't remember the song. They got about and sang it, and they put the Gatorade all over John McGuckin. He got it in the middle. Yeah, the first win for him. So fantastic for Modsell Guildford. North Coast Raiders and Wasps. Well, this one. 7 corners to 2 in favour of Wasps. There were some open opportunities for North Coast Raiders, but it ended up being a 1-0 victory to Wasps, scored by Charlie McIntyre in the 60th minute. I think there was about, 15 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, it was one of those games played heavily in the middle 2 quarters of the field. But yeah, both teams probably had their chances to take it off and win.
Wasps get it done just, I'm sure, to the relief of Trent Mitten. That's probably not the games you want to drop points to, especially if you're pushing for finals. We go to the next game, 2-1 victory for Melville over Reds. Goals to Ben Staines and Jay McDonald, while Dill Martin getting on the scoreboard for Reds. This would have been a fairly ferocious contest, I reckon.
Yeah, it definitely was. Probably not expected by Reds to go down to Melville. Historical results recently for Melville indicating potentially they would be okay. But yeah, I think Melville probably got kicked up the arse, I reckon, and go, yep, okay, we're going to start playing hockey now.
Yep, no, I can probably attest to that. Craig Wilson holds very high standards down there at Melville. 5-1 victory for YMCC over Westside Wolves. We thought this one might be a bit closer, but Cooper Burns netted a hat-trick, Jesse Regan and Luke Blee with singles, while Matty Edgar on the scoreboard for Wolves. And YM just keep on keeping on.
It's rude, isn't it? But no, I like to see it.
Well, fascinating, because hold your thought on YM. There's some more result to come. And then the last game of the midweek fixtures was a 3-2 victory for Fremantle Coburn, a come-from-behind 3-2 victory over Hale, a double to Liam Flynn and a double to Matt Bird and a single to Aaron Hazel. They scored in the 48th and the 55th minute to get over the line in the fourth quarter. And, geez, I tell you, Fremantle Coburn have got something about them this year.
Yeah, I've heard they're a fiery little side out there. Love dealing out some hard knocks. But, there's always one team in the competition that they're happy to take no prisoners.
They certainly don't. And they've got their form is red hot at the moment. I think we'll get to the ladder after this, but they're right up the top end. Now we go to round 3, the official round 3 in the weekend's games, of course, starting Anzac Day again with Vic Park and Wasps holding their traditional contest. And this was a 5-2 victory to Wasps over Vic Park. Double again to Kai Willett, and then for Wasps, a double to Brandon Gibbs, a double to Chaz Davies, and a single to Trent Mitten. It was a good game of hockey, but...
I honestly thought this was such an unfair result for Victor. I obviously commentated, and when you were watching, it didn't feel like that it was that big of a deficit on the field comparative on the scoreboard. So, yeah, it felt sad for them.
No, well, you got to score goals, don't you? And that's another 5-2 loss, another 5-goal 5 goals conceded, I should say, for Vic Park. So Phil Holbert won't be happy with that. The other traditional Anzac Day game, which happens at Aquinas, is Reds and Fremantle Coburn. And, geez, it had it all in the first quarter, but it was a 4-2 victory for Fremantle Coburn over Reds. A double to Aaron Hazel, a singles to Reece Angwin and Matt Bird, and Zach Rackus and Jamie Lewis on the scoreboard for Reds. it's always great for both locations, PHS and Aquinas, to hold Anzac Day ceremonies. And I've obviously never been to the one at Aquinas, but I imagine it's I imagine it's just as brilliant, and it's and the justice is certainly not lost by anyone who attends. So fantastic by Reds and Freo, and of course Vic Park and Wasps for holding games on Anzac Day. But this means Fremantle Coburn another 3 points in the bag, and they push further ahead. UWA and Whitfords, a 6-0 victory for UWA. The big dog, Chris Sorello, Chavi Gisper, Tommy Wickham, Jackson Geddes, all with singles, and a double to Harry Golding. Probably a result we saw coming, especially it's always a hard task when you go to UWA, right?
I know, yeah, definitely. And having the big dog on that battery. All their goals, though, were pretty much scored after halftime. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I probably got a rev up from Buddhas.
True.
And, well, probably the upset of the weekend, Hale coming from behind with a 2-1 victory over YMCC. Dan Sibold, who I believe is a South African international. I know that name. I think he's played in the competition before. And Liam Flynn, of course, on the score sheet for Hale, and Jesse Regan on the score sheet for YMCC. Fantastic result for Hale. They probably needed one.
Yeah, I watched, and I was wanting some YM. Like I probably dreamt that they're this incredible force, and they probably didn't have the spark I was wanting. So I was a bit disappointed as a viewer.
Okay.
But, as a secondary Hale supporter for my brothers and his wife's team, great result for Hale. And I think they walked away from that thinking they were pretty chuffed with themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? We go to the next game, and this would have been a very tight contest, and a 2-1 victory for Westside Wolves over Modsol Guildford. They brought their form into this game, which is fantastic. Scores level at half-time, and then it was a Dane Gavranich goal in the third quarter, which basically sealed the deal. Matty Yedgar and Luke Nielsen on the scoreboard for their respective teams. But looking at the Altius here, there was a host of penalty corners at the end for Modsol Guildford to try and tie the game.
Gosh.
And unfortunately, they couldn't, and Wolves scrape away with a victory.
Yeah, well, Ducks is doing something, and obviously it took maybe a few weeks at the start of the season to get everyone in line and understanding the way of play. So, yeah, maybe they've turned a corner.
Last game of the round, a 6-0 victory for Melville over North Coast Raiders. A double to James Day, a double to Ben Staines, and singles to Matty Willis and Oliver McGill. Probably one we saw coming, but North Coast Raiders obviously couldn't continue their form from the midweek games.
Yeah, no, it's an impressive scoreline as fair, and nice to see Melville also getting some form back after probably a stressful start to the season.
Yeah, absolutely. We go and look at the ladder, Jane, and Fremantle Coburn sit undefeated, effectively, on top of the ladder, 5 wins and a draw, and that draw was in round 1. So they've gone 5 on the trot. On 16 points there, the YMCC on 15, and then UWA, Melville and Wolves all on 12, making up the top 5. Let's look forward to this weekend's fixtures. We're going to start with North Coast Raiders and Whitfords. So again, 2 teams without a victory, looking for their first win of the year. Who wins this one?
I'm just probably going to go Whitfords.
I actually think Raiders are going to beat them.
Okay, yeah, you usually are correct. So I don't know why I bother.
You don't have to. You don't have to give me that, Jane. You don't have to pump me. Righto, we'll find out after the weekend. Melville and Modsol Guildford. This will be a tougher challenge for them.
Yeah, I think Melville hitting their straps now, but it will be nice. Honestly, you always want to back an underdog, so it would be cool if they did. Odds came through with a win, but I think Melville have probably gotten on top of their way of play and started to create some great connections, obviously.
I have no doubt Craig Wilson would have noted Modsol Guildford's previous 2 results. It'll be on the board for Melville pre-game. So Melville for me, Hale and Vic Park. This is a big game for Vic Park.
Yeah, definitely. Probably, I like the way Vic Park were playing on the weekend and the scoreline didn't justify it, but I reckon it could potentially be a draw.
A draw? Yeah, okay. I like it.
Don't let Liam score any.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's fair. It rarely happens. So, fascinating note for this weekend. As far as I'm aware, I don't think the Kookaburras can play.
Oh, okay.
That's as far as I'm aware. So it may change things. So
true.
that may be fascinating.
Potentially have the one up there, but yeah.
Be a good game of hockey. Wolves and Reds. So this will be another good game of hockey. I think Reds win this.
Yeah, I'm hopeful too. Wolves obviously probably a bit fired up after their last performance. But yeah, I think Reds do have a lot of firepower up front, even though Wolves' defence notoriously has been quite good week to week.
Wasps and UWA.
UWA for me.
Yeah, I think UWA for me as well. And then probably the game of the round, Fremantle Coburn and YMCC, 1v2 currently on the ladder.
Yeah, I know. Are you commentating at all?
No, I think the commentated games are the same day as we play. So the Saturday. So that one, not a commentated game. It would
be great though.
It would have been a cracker.
But yeah, no, if Cookers aren't available, I'm going to back in Freo.
Yep, I think I back in Freo as well. We just quickly will look at the goal scorers. Cooper Burns sits on top with 11, and then Liam Flynn and Zach Rackus with 10 apiece. Time to chat to one of the players from the league, and this week we've got the captain of the Mods Old Guildford Hockey Club, Shaun Wheatland. Welcome to the show, Shaun.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Brilliant to have you, mate. It's been a good couple of games for your team. A good win against Whitfords and a really encouraging, I suppose, you still went down, but a 2-1 loss is not the worst result, and it was pretty tight as well. So can you talk us through, firstly, the game against Whitfords and, how that felt and did you mark it on your calendar as one of the games you can really go after?
Yeah, you always mark those ones that you're competing for spots with other teams. You always mark them on the calendar as ones to get after. I guess we had a couple of disappointing results the weeks preluding with YM and Reds, and the boys were pretty keen to, I guess, get out and just make amend for it. When putting in the effort that we did against Whitfords, and then the more encouraging thing for us being, I guess, so young and fresh was the backing up against the Wolves on the weekend, where, you said we went down, but it was encouraging to actually bring it through from Whitfords into that game.
Yeah, you mentioned there you've got quite a young group. That's definitely noted across the board. How's that gone from your perspective, managing, obviously, having that young dynamic, but then also having the real experience of Snowden in the net, in the Kookaburra goalkeeper you've picked up?
Yeah, Jed's one of a kind. He helps us immensely. Both his knowledge on the field, but calm presence. Having someone like him, a shot stopper in the net, it's his job to keep us in the game, but it's also our job to keep him in the game. So you have that trust that he will save majority of things that come at him. So that's, I guess, a real bit of belief for the team, especially those close ones such as Whitfords and against Wolves. But just the young side, we've been, I guess it's been well talked about, the development and the merger of the two clubs. And some of the boys got their first taste of Premier League games and what to expect last year. And this year's sort of just a developing year in terms of the boys know what they're in for now, and we sort of build on that.
How does that look from your point of view as the captain, Shaun? It can be challenging because you obviously have so many young guys within the group, but obviously you have to make sure that you're performing, at the best of your ability too, to, drive, your experience through them as well.
Yeah. It's always a rejuvenating thing having so many young boys in the team or young guys in the team that they bring, I guess, my age down with them, and hopefully I can provide some level of information or knowledge onto them. They keep me young. They're always out there running and wanting to do extras and wanting to do more, and I'm sort of in back, stretching up and trying to limber up to get back on the field. But I mean, a bunch of blokes, and they always want to give 110%. And I mean, at this point in time, with a lot of them, they're like sponges. They just want to soak up everything that they get into them. So they're always asking Gux and Jed any tips or tricks on how they can get better and how we can develop as a whole team, and how we can continue to fight out, I guess, 60 minutes of hockey every week.
Yeah, I think that's a huge benefit when you have a youthful group. You can impart on them exactly the culture and way of play and vibe you want out there as a team, and hopefully that carries forward. Obviously, we mentioned John McGuckin, or Gux, as I've now decided to call him in my commentary. He's a new coach this year and first-time Premier League coach, but coming off some great pedigree and winning the Twos Premiership for Wasps. What's he been like coming into the group? What's his coaching style?
Gux is a wealth of knowledge. Like so, he brings in with the Wasps Premier Twos last year. Brings in that knowledge. He's very much, I guess, one of the team, and he likes to be involved and not afraid to have a conversation, hit you between the eyes when something's not going right, but also he's there to give praise when things are going right. So it's been fresh blood into the team and a new mindset. He's never going to shy away from a contest, as it's been seen by taking up the team. So he's backing his players 100% and giving us full confidence to do what we want in relation to, I guess, the game style and play the way we want to play.
Just want to touch on the club for a moment, mate. So you mentioned earlier about the merger, and it was probably a difficult time to get the group together last year and coaching and things like that. But it seems like everything has fallen into place a little bit better this year, and obviously coaching wise and preparation wise. Do you feel it's much more improved and the club's in a really good position with the merger now 1 year on?
Yeah, I mean last year, and every time that something like this happens, there's always those teething issues and finding each other's feet and what can and can't happen. So I think last year was a real learning opportunity, and then coming into this year, like I said, it was a bit more established. We knew where each other's boundaries were, and we really got off on the front foot with obviously Guts in early and getting amongst the boys and telling them what we were doing. So we were able to, first proper full season, pre-season under the belt, which was good. Obviously still learning a new game style, so to speak, but just having the same group of boys, thereabouts, lost a couple in the off-season, but the same group of boys around for now second season really leads to a little bit more development and continuity within the group, which is good.
Yeah, is there any specific goals going into this 2025 season or beyond that you guys have talked about and earmarked, or things, I guess, at the end of the season you'll kind of reflect on and see where your performance lies?
Yeah, so I guess speaking to Gups when he first come on, it was all about it's not, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's not a 1 year plan. So it was like a couple year, 2-3 year plan. So first off, I guess like most teams, we just want to be able to play good, consistent hockey for 60 minutes and play our brand of hockey in terms of like wanting to be attacking and be competitive for those 60 minutes. You look at a couple of the games between like Reds and YM, we sort of fell off, and you bleed 3 and 4 goals in there. And some of those results probably weren't we had in mind for the year, but you learn from them and you're able to, I guess, look at them. And our real desire this year is just about 60 minutes of competitive hockey. We know there's, with the Cookers coming into the division and looking to play more games, a couple of the boys before this season wouldn't have played against or with any Kookaburras. So to get that opportunity to play with Jed and play against some of the best players in the world is a wealth of knowledge for them. So it's about staying 60 minutes of competitive hockey with those boys in the league, and then I guess further develop our style and leading into the future years and really blood a good core of youth and development players.
Yeah, love what you're doing, mate. It's tough, and I suppose everyone can certainly see that. But thank you for sharing how you guys are going about it, and I think it's exciting to see these younger guys who started last year and will get a couple of years or 3 years or so into the competition, and thankfully there's no relegation, so it's perfect for you guys to build something going forward. So thank you so much for sharing with us what is happening at the Modsol Guildford Hockey Club, and we wish you and Gux all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, guys.
Brand new segment that heavily revolves around you.
Yeah.
Now, we thought we've got you as a host on this show, and why not pick your brain about your life as a Hockeyroo? There are lots of things I'm sure people don't know. They see you run out in a green and gold leotard every now and then and watch you play and probably see you around the hockey stadium, but there is a lot that happens behind the scenes and a lot that you would have to deal with. So this segment's called Inside the Circle, because we're going to get inside. What do you class? Do you class yourself as an elite athlete?
Yeah, I think so. I put that on my resume. So yeah.
Okay, so inside the circle of an elite athlete. Now we're going to go a bit of a real direct topic first up. So payments.
Yeah.
And what do the Hockeyroo and the Kookaburras get paid? Because I'm sure there are lots of people who put it against the AFL and maybe netball, and the soccer or football, with the Perth Glory, for example. So let's start right back at the bottom. You're in the South Australian Institute.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for you when you're at the top end of the institute?
Yeah, top end of the institute in my day, and it probably has changed a little bit now with different athlete grants coming into it. In my day, you didn't get any direct athlete funding. You may have got some subsidy going on some state trips, like $500 off your fees kind of thing.
Yep.
But by and large, it was all for the love of it. It was your hobby. You had other things outside of it. You were doing uni, school, whatever age you kind of sat, and maybe a part-time job. So definitely at the institute level, it's very much amateur. You're not getting paid. You're not getting paid to play club, especially in South Australia. I don't think there's one person I knew growing up that actually got paid to play club hockey. So yeah, you're very much probably in the development phase of your career. You're younger, and naturally the older guys that probably get to that point where they need to start working and have full-time jobs, they do fade out of it if they haven't transitioned to the international stage just yet.
Okay, right. Now I think you got picked after South Australia won the AHL. Is that, or were you there before that?
No, I was.
You in?
I got picked in for the 2013 squad.
Okay, 2013, right.
So got identified end of 2021 at an under 21s tournament.
Okay, so you get called. Was it Frank Murray coaching at that point?
No,
Billy. It was Billy. Okay, so Adam Billy Commons calls you. Jane, you're now a Hockeyroo. Come over. They get the desk out. You sit there, sign your contract, smile for the camera. Like
NFL style.
Yeah. So, what happens next, and then what do you learn about in regards to payments?
Yeah, it is a wild transition, and we probably didn't have as much support back then as they do now, and it's vastly different now. So please do not apply to what I say now as to what the current group of Hockeyroos and Kookaburras are going through. But for me, it was kind of like, congratulations, you're a 19-year-old, move out of home, find your rental over here in Perth when there is no rentals, and it's like so expensive because everyone does mining up here and whatever. And so you are kind of thrown in the deep end quite early on. And often you're of the younger generation. It's rare that you're probably in your mid-20s. There's a few, obviously, that do make that transition then. But by and large, there was a whole group of us coming over at the age of 19. So you're thrown in the deep end. For payment-wise, you come in not knowing a lot. And it's a bit of a baptism of fire. I was probably very fortunate. My parents were very supportive of me financially, emotionally, everything and anything. And not many girls do get that. They had to flip the bill for me, as I like to say, for a few months there because, I think the payments back then potentially they were on a good wicket, and that was $300 a week.
Okay.
So yeah, when you're taking out petrol money, rent, food, you don't end up with much. You do get what they call direct athlete incentive, and that's or DAS as they refer it, and that's a government scheme. And so that's based on your ranking in the world, so 1 to however many, and where are you ranked, and also your ability. Probably if an Olympics was that year, where would you come? Would you be a podium potential, or would you be beyond that? And so it's all very much based on results. And so usually, like roughly over my 12-year career, I would say you'd get 2 payments per year from that, sitting between anything between 10 to 15 grand.
Okay.
Payment.
Yep.
And so, yeah, roughly you're probably sitting on a 20 grand salary if you just consider that.
Okay. Yep.
It ebbs and flows, and the men's will ebb and flow depending on outcomes and results.
Yep.
And so that's what you're looking at living off.
Okay.
And then on top of that, for me, I was at uni.
Yep.
Second year uni, managing hockey, and then working for Bar Pop, which is a huge employer.
It's an institution, Bar Pop.
Huge employer for Hockeyroo and Kookaburras. So they're legends over there because they understand it. They're obviously the Buckleys are a huge involvement over there. So a lot of hockey people work for them. So they understand the grind. And so, yeah, you're kind of managing all of that, trying to be an elite athlete. But yeah, it is an incredibly difficult period, especially when you're younger and you don't really probably have the skill set, life skills that you need when you probably develop further into your career.
What about success at tournaments? So there's generally a fee or a prize money. What normally happens? The Hockeyroo's, I think 2014 silver at the World Cup.
Yeah.
What normally happens?
Yeah, each year you identify a key performance indicator. So that will be if it's a World Cup year, maybe World Cup. They rarely use Com Games because it doesn't have enough of the top 6 nations in it. Or Olympics if it's an Olympic year, and then the years between you get to nominate what you think would replicate an Olympic Games that year. So for now it's probably like Pro League outcomes or anything like that. And then that correlates to what they call medal incentive funding. So if you come 1, 2 or 3, you get a bonus, which would be like at work if you performed really well in whatever role you're doing. You get a bonus, a little Christmas bonus. And so there is monetary associated at each of those. Off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to really know. I think it potentially is like third, you get maybe 3 grand and it goes all the way up to maybe 8 grand at first. But those tournaments are hard to win. So
certainly are.
There's always a Netherlands there. There's always an Argentina.
Yes.
So sometimes it feels like you're fighting off a third. So yeah, that was always like probably the most exciting thing about winning a medal, and everyone would be chanting myth. So but yeah, that's the difference between like living maybe a little bit more comfortably than being right on the line of poverty.
Yeah. Well, it's tough, right? Like I mean, it's people come over like you have, and come from other states as well. So it is difficult, and you have to you like you said, find your way and try to live out this dream, but also make sure you're not just eating tin tuna every night as well. So
exactly. And it's such a horrible balance to try and strike, because you're wanting to be elite, you're wanting to put your heart and soul into this opportunity that you'll never be able to reverse. Like once you hit 30, things do change in your body, and it's not like you become an elite athlete at 30 and you can continue on until you're 50 unless you're maybe doing equestrian. But, our sport has a limited lifespan, and so you want to make the most of it. So you will happily sacrifice a lot of those things to make it all work. So by no means is this like a dig at anyone. It's just the reality of the situation. And I wish we had like a situation like AFL where we have all the media insight and the extra payment coming in to Hockey Australia for media rights and things like that. And that's what makes the huge difference in those professions, but we simply don't. And so it is what it is for us, and you have to kind of bite the bullet and find a way to get your own money to support what you're doing, and your life. Your professional career outside of being a hockey player is on hold for at least 10 years.
Yep.
And then you enter the world of working.
Did you have any personal sponsors? Six sponsors?
Yeah, I was even I think from the age of 12, I was pretty much sponsored by Atlas. Jinder is an incredibly supportive guy, and he knew my dad early on, and by no means was I a good hockey player at that age, but he just gave me some sticks, and so I didn't have any temptation to move to a different brand when someone's supporting you like that, even when you're a little potato. So yeah, and I definitely did get offers, but yeah, he threw me a couple of dollars every now and then if we'd won tournaments or just to kind of help out. And so yeah, he was incredibly generous with what he did over my whole hockey career, and even now, when I don't have much to say about what I'm doing week to week.
No, fantastic. Well, a great insight, Jane, because I think it's probably one of those topics where people don't really know, and it's a good way for people to understand who are, outside the circle, let's say, to know what you guys are going through, and probably a great opportunity to shout out to anyone who is working for a company or owns a company or any type of sponsorship that they're willing to put forward towards the Hockeyroos and the Kookaburras. It would be greatly appreciated, and it starts to build bigger things for both groups, and it makes life easier for athletes, I suppose.
Yeah, and I definitely hold the sentiment really highly that if you are an employer and you have a job that you think an elite athlete can do because it's flexible, they can work from home, they can work remotely when they're overseas, to reach out to Hockey Australia and offer that, because that direct athlete support makes the most difference. You can sponsor, obviously, the Hockeyroo and Kookaburras broadly, but individual athlete sponsorship through just work placements and work experience and all of that not only upskills them for longer term, but they directly benefit from it, because when you're sponsoring a whole team, naturally that a lot of costs go into admin, staff payments, like paying for us to actually go on tour. But yeah, it's so much more beneficial when it can be directly to the athlete.
Lovely. Thank you, Jane. Inside the Circle, the first time in 2025. If you want to know something about life as an elite athlete, reach out to Hockey WA or to myself or Jane on social media. Let us know, and we'll add it to the next time we run this segment. Last segment of this week's show, Jane, extra time. And I've thrown in the FIH Pro League. It's coming up in June for both the Hockeyroo and the Kookaburras. Now, there are some traditionalists out there who love their hockey and knew that, or no, I should say that FIH Pro League wasn't always a thing. It used to be called the Champions Trophy. And that was the top 8 teams in the world. You play over a 2-week tournament. Best team wins. So it was a play everyone once, and then I think there was a final based on where you finished, or there might have been a top 4, whatever it was. FIH Pro League has now replaced that, and it's a home and away Champions Trophy, effectively.
Yeah, over like a 12-month to probably 9-month period. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the Pro League?
Well, the interesting thing is that one of our most main events for hockey, which is the Olympics, is a 2-week tournament. And so now we have the issue of going from these ad hoc games, like you max play 2 games in a row, to then trying to transition an Olympic year to playing a 2-week-long tournament, which is so different. I could tell you it's so different, because like the recovery timeframes, the intensity you're playing at, it just is so vastly different to trying to do it over a 2-week period. And so naturally in those years, we're trying to scramble to try and find back-to-back games, like playing 3 games in a row to try and replicate that. And so it is an interesting move by FIH to do that kind of Pro League setup where it prepares no one for then the grueling nature of something like the Olympics.
Well, that probably answers my next question in that Pro League versus Champions Trophy. Well, there is no comparison, right? Because you're chasing wanting to replicate as the Olympic tournament as much as possible, right? And even a World Cup, like a World Cup, is very, very similar. So I guess, for me, it all it adds is more cost, more travel, more time away effectively from work, like we've just spoken about. It's not sustainable, is it?
Yeah, they're trying to make tweaks. Like, first of all, I think we travelled all the way to Argentina to play 2 games in the first ever Pro League, and that was so not viable. And so now they're trying to fly and have like little centres where teams more than one, the local team and the fly-in team will be playing at. So this time around they had in Argentina, Belgium, Argentina, China, us, etc. And so they're trying to cut costs that way, but it's still like such a big outlay for us to be involved in that, especially from Australia and New Zealand.
Yes, 100%.
I don't mean to offend, but FIH are very European-centric, and so it works for Europe, and so they won't change it because they can just kind of get on a flight 2 hours or what have you and be down there, or drive some places and be able to play their Pro League matches. But no matter what we invest in, we're either going to Argentina, we're going to Europe, we're going to China, it's always going to be a huge undertaking. And so, yeah, for us in New Zealand, and rightfully so, New Zealand had to opt out of being an FIH Pro League because of the cost. It's not a very viable system.
Which makes it hard then to get games, right?
And even when you're hosting games, the profitability on it isn't outstanding. So there's a lot of tweaks they need to make. I love the idea of having frequent and often internationals.
Yes, I agree.
It brings hockey to the forefront more often than just every so often we have a 2-week tournament and that's it. And so I like the frequency of it. It's just how do we execute it to make it more viable and cost efficient.
It almost has to be like you almost have to play as many. Well, the Australian teams would be away for a longer period, but you're playing essentially most of your Pro League in June, July. Europe, and you might have to go Europe and then Argentina, or potentially play Argentina in Europe, which I always find just so odd when like you've got two teams, no crowd, and you're like, well, like
and Argentina's an incredible place to play hockey in too. Arguably, they're just right on par with Europe with crowd hype. So yeah, there's so many amendments that need to be made to Pro League to make teams want to stay involved, because teams are looking at the cost currently and go, oh, why don't we just go, hey, New Zealand, hey, China, let's just do a friendly and then
let's play our own series. Yep. Yes or no? Is it worth it?
At this point in time, if you look at the cost versus benefit, probably not. I like, though, that it provides accessibility to hockey and it's frequent, and I love watching hockey. Everyone that's listening to this podcast likes watching hockey, and so it provides more games for people to watch spread out over a period of time. So it has potential, but they're not quite nailing it right now.
Okay, I love it. There it is, the Pro League. Both Jane and I probably agree that Pro League not quite where it needs to be, probably from a Southern Hemisphere point of view. So that's extra time for this week. That's the end of the show, Jane. Back after a couple of weeks, a fair bit to get through, but we've powered through it.
Yeah, we finished pretty much on time. I think that's impressive.
I know.
Games we had to cover.
I never know how much if we ever finish on time, so I just hope.
Well, I'm a stickler.
Oh, thank you all for joining us once again, and thanks to our guest in Shaun Wheatland from the Mods Old Guildford Hockey Club. Of course, remember to give us a follow, a like, a heart, 5 stars, whatever it is on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else that you listen to the Hockey Hour. Give us some love, and also send through your questions. They go out every Thursday for the following week's show. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask us, or specifically to one of us, I'm assuming you're going to want to ask them to Jane, because she's been around a bit more.
What does Jace do in his spare time?
Yes, I'm sure they want to know that I'm at the hockey. But yeah, send through your questions, hockey_WA on Instagram, to catch the highlights of this week's show. But for this week, thanks for joining us on the Hockey Hour.